Hi, Grandin and Luthier at Sandmash number 57 in Indianapolis. How you doing today? Just wanted to go through another video of doing a bridge reset on an acoustic guitar. I've actually got a couple in the shop in for this right now. I just thought this one would be interesting to show as well. I've got an older Gibson J30. It's in really decent shape. Came in for just a setup, but in going through it with the customer, we did notice that the bridge is just starting to lift, and he just like, all right, nope. I don't want to wait for it to get worse. Let's just go ahead and fix it. So what I'm going to do is go through the tools that I'm going to use, and we'll get the removal of the bridge started using controlled heat. Now at this point, I'm going to edit this out, but we're just right back up. All right, so here's the bridge. And as I mentioned earlier, it's just starting to separate. There's a couple of spots, like there's one where I'm going to get in there all the way up through past the holes. So rather than waiting, he decided, I said, you know, you can keep an eye on. He's like, nope, let's do it now. So the very first thing I'm going to do is, using an X-Acto knife, is I'm just going to very lightly score the finish around the footprint of the bridge. Typically, never had one that didn't have it. When you get the bridge off, there's going to be finish underneath the edge, sometimes 1/8 of an inch deep in, all the way around. And other times it's all the way, or there's blotches of it, or there's sanding sealer on the wood, which also is one of the reasons that these bridges will lift, is because you don't have a good full wood-to-wood gluing surface. So to be able to get all that finish off, I want to just score the finish so that it'll break at that point, as I'm very, very carefully with some fine micro chisels removing the finish to avoid chipping out into the top of the guitar. Now the secret to this too is to go gently. I just want to score the finish. I don't want to cut into the wood fibers of the top. And I'm just going to I put a fresh blade on almost every time I do one of these, I'm just going to very gently score the finish around the footprint of the bridge. I try to keep the blade flush up against the side of the bridge. I don't want to undercut. Okay, I did get a little bit of a cut on the bridge there. We'll glue that back into place. And be very careful on the corners that you don't go past the edge of the... Okay, now I'll do this side. Good. I'm just barely scoring the finish. And I don't want to cut the wood fibers at all. And now we're going to go across the back. Also, if you keep the blade flat against the back of the edges of the bridge, that'll resist cutting into the bridge itself. And again, it depends on the brand. You know, the Gibsons are the nitro finish, which is a little thinner, so you don't have to cut as hard as some of the new imports with the polyester. It takes quite a bit to score the finish. Now, I will check this after I get the bridge off, because once I've got it scored, I can go over it without the bridge, but I want to know exactly where I have to remove the finish. And it's always better to do it, because this is exactly how the bridge will go on. All right, that's done. Now I need to apply heat to get that glue to let go, but not so much to damage the guitar. So I have these silicone heating pads, okay? I'm going to put one on the bridge. I'm going to put one of these bridge clamp things from StewMac on there to hold it flat. Okay, now I've got this block of steel. I'm just going to put that on there to hold it down, put a little pressure on it to make sure I get good uniform heat. Okay, now I've got this controller that it's got three settings: off, variable, or full. I don't want full, I want variable. So this is going to control how hot. Typically these bridges will really start to let go, some of them around 120 to 140 degrees. I've had a few that it took up to about 160, but I'm going to start lower and slowly, because I want the heat to penetrate. I don't want a lot of, it's kind of like cooking. To cook meat all the way through, you don't want a lot of heat and scorch it. You want an even heat that will get through without burning the outside. So I'm going to start with a lower temperature first and let it kind of soak in, because it takes time for the heat to soak down. But I don't want to put so much heat that I also loosen the bridge plate. So it's kind of a touch. You got to be careful with these. So I've got a little digital thermometer. I'm going to stick that under the edge here. turn it on. It's set for Fahrenheit. Already it's up to 78, 78.4, 78.6. I'm going to check this about every 3 or 4 minutes initially. Typically where I've got it set now, it's going to get up to about 130, 140 and stabilize. And then I'm going to try the glue with the knife to see if I can't get it loose at that point. But I'm going to give it a good, initially I'm going to give it a good 5 or 10 minutes and then come back and check it because it's going to take it that long just to come up to temperature. All right, so we'll check it in a little bit. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. On the thermometer, we're up to about 160. So just so you can see this better, I am going to remove everything here real quick, just set it aside. That's actually been a little longer. I've checked it a couple times. So now you can see, oh boy, that knife is going all the way in past. So what I like to start to do is I don't want to force it, but I'm going to try to get to see if I can get this knife to go to the edge where the corners are and work it from every angle. Look at that, right through. Boom, the glue is starting to let go. So now I'm going to work around the corner. That one's still a little tight, so I'm going to work this one. Now the other thing I just want to point out is this putty knife is when I broke this thing off, I broke it in a certain direction so that it has a little curl at the end that keeps it from digging into the top. Now, I think I can probably get this corner to pop loose too. There it goes. Can I work my way around? All right, gonna need a little more heat. I don't want to force this. I mean, you can help break the glue loose, but you don't want to start forcing stuff. Because if I can get that front corner, nope, okay. There it goes, I got this front corner. All right. This might take a little more heat, but we're gonna try. Oh, here we go, it's coming off. There you go. Now actually this one has a very, very thin finish. I'm gonna move the camera. Let me keep an eye on it here. Try to get it down on the ground so it's stable, so it's not wiggling around. Now right here you can see where I've scored it, but there is about a 1/16 of an inch of finish underneath. But no pull up, just a little bit of pull up there. So we're just gonna clean it all up, get it down to bare wood and just re-glue it. We'll get to that process in a little bit. All right, as part of doing a bridge reset, now that I have the bridge on this Gibson J30 off, you'll notice that of course there is a little bit of glue and a little bit of wood residue on the bottom. We've got to get this down to be smooth and flat. Sometimes if the top is a little curved, we have to work a curve into it. This one is dead flat, so we're good there. And so what I do to get this down is if I have a lot of glue residue, I'll use a chisel first, but this one really came off pretty clean. The glue let go. That may be part of the reason it was coming loose is that, you know, here was really well glued, but here it looks like it was a little glue starved. There's not much glue there, if any at all. And also some sanding sealer. So I made this tool, we'll call it a tool, out of a hunk of treated pine, and I put two dowels in it. What that does is it fits right into the holes on most bridges, and it gives me something to hold on to. Now I've got a flat piece of like 1.125" thick granite countertop scrap, and I've got 120 grit sandpaper on here that's got a sticky back, so it's on there. Now all I have to do is putting this tool on here and just back and forth. Now any of the white spots you see are glue that's coming off. Brown is indicating that at that point I'm down to the wood. So there you can see I still have a little glue in a couple spots. So we're going to work those. What this ensures I can get all the glue off and still maintain the bottom to be perfectly flat. So I'm going to work that spot just a little, and then this spot in the center just a little. That's looking really, really good. I may, in some instances, take a scraper to this. but I think for the most part, we're really good right now. We're gonna go at it just again a little more. Whoops, where's my holes? There we go. All right. So the edge that has most of the pressure is this back edge, and that is clean. Everything's nice and flat. I'm down to bare wood everywhere. Just a little bit right there. That's the leading edge. I'm not too worried about that as much, but just a quick touch and we're done. So this bridge is ready to re-glue. Now we're gonna go over and work on the top, the gluing area. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna wanna do here is I have rescored the area of the finish. I'm gonna wanna put the bridge in place. I'm gonna put some blue tape just inside the edges, okay? Which will protect the top of the guitar as I'm working. So if I need to, I can get a little crazy with the sandpaper. And again, I'm just going inside the edges of the bridge, okay? Actually, what I'm gonna do is start over again here, because this one there's very, very little, if any, finish. There's just maybe 1/16 of an inch. So what I'm gonna do is, before I put the other pieces of glue on, I'm gonna fit the bridge in, and it's kind of like a puzzle piece. When it's right where it needs to be, you'll feel it click into place. Now for the back edge, I'm gonna take my X-Acto knife and trim right at the edges of the bridge to score this tape, okay? Now for the edges, I'm gonna go ahead and just put this tape right up against. There we go, there's one. Let's get everything back in place. There's two. Now I'm gonna peel that back edge off. Just lift it very carefully. Actually, you can't see it in the camera, but I'm actually starting to get some little slivers of the finish coming up. Gotta love nitro, man. It's so much easier to do this kind of work with nitro guitars rather than the polyester crap, which chips like crazy. All right, now I'm gonna put a strip of glue or tape along the front edge, now that the back edge and the sides will click into place, as I mentioned. So I'm gonna get the bridge to just set right into place. There it goes. All right, yep, and when it kind of clicks into place again, like a puzzle piece. And now I'm gonna very, very, very carefully trim around the front edge of the bridge to score the tape there. Don't need a lot of pressure. I've already cut through the finish so that the finish won't lift while I'm scoring the tape. I'm not scoring the tape. The finish won't lift while I'm lifting off. The finish won't lift outside of the scoring. That's into the top, so you won't see it. All right, I'm gonna clean up these corners so they break away nice and clean on the tape, that is. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna lift this corner carefully. All right, now I have, just a little touch up there. Now I have the footprint of the bridge exactly. Now what I'm gonna do here is just double check everything, okay? Holes line up. The blue tape is right at the edges of everything, perfect. Okay. So now, using one of my small micro chisels, and I just sharpened this one, I'm gonna start working the edges, getting up pieces of, the bigger pieces of glue and finish. They come right up. Again, this one is really, really well done. I think what may have caused this one is not the fact that there was finish under the edge, but that there was actually a glue starve right here. There wasn't much glue around the pins, because this looks really, really good. Like I said, this side is about a 32nd. There you can see it peeling up. A 32nd of an inch of finish, but that's not, the bridge is pulling this way, so that's not a stress riser. I'm gonna clean it up anyway to make sure we get the bridge to sit all the way down on the top and not have any gaps. helps to move the guitar a little to get where you want to be. Just need to get that, there it goes, little bitty thin pieces, okay? Now always check the corners, they look good. This back edge still has a little bit right there. I'm going to clean that up. There it is, you can see it coming up, real thin slivers where I scored the finish. And again, just a 32nd of an inch. Just enough to make a lip where the wood didn't sit all the way down. I don't have any other big spots here. So the next step, which is the main reason I put the tape on, so I've got a block of wood that I've put some 120 grit PSA or pressure sensitive adhesive sandpaper on. You know what, I've used this, so bear with me here, I'll edit this out, but I'm gonna put new tape on, or new sandpaper on. One side. Okay, back with new pressure sensitive sandpaper on there, 120 grit. So this is going to allow me to come remove any of the finish or other flaws, a little bit of sanding sealer to get down to bare wood like I did on the bottom of the bridge, okay? So I'm working right up against the glue, the tape, and the tape will protect the finish if I should go a little bit over. Never happens. Because the trick to being able to make, you know, as bad as it sounds, as a profit doing this work is, you know, we charge a flat rate of $150 to do a bridge reset, and it's about 2 hours of labor all said and done. If you end up getting into the finish, now you've got to repair that finish at your own cost because it's a mistake and you can't charge for it, and that's what you want to avoid, is you want to avoid ending up having 6 to 10 hours of finish repair into what was only a $150 repair, and you're losing money. So protecting that finish at all costs. Because a good bridge reset, you should not be able to tell that it was done. Only another really skilled luthier would be able to look at it and go, maybe this bridge has been reset. I've seen some bad ones where they were just slopped glue and the finish destroyed around them. The other thing I'm doing here with this sanding, other than getting this any sanding sealer or finish off the wood and down to bare wood, is I'm making sure with this block being, you know, maintained perfectly flat, I'm getting the top flat. So we have a really good mate glue, tight glue line, a flat one between the bottom of the bridge and the top of the guitar. And again, the back edge here is the most, they're all important, but the back edge is the most important because that's where most of your stress is coming in. If it's gonna, when they start to let go, they let go at the back edge. And usually you can tell when you're getting the sanding sealer up is because the dust you'll get will kind of be a yellowish color versus the wood is more of that sandy beige. It's a lot more obvious on polyester guitars. But this is starting to look ready for glue. Just working the corners really fine. Yeah, I know this is boring to watch, but I want to make sure you see the whole process. I'm feeling pretty good about this, so I'm going to go ahead and vacuum off the dust, and then we're going to check the fit. Just going to double check that back edge again. There's a couple little shiny spots, and sometimes if they're shiny, that will indicate there's still a little finish in the wood. There we go, now we're getting to it. Okay. Once more with the paper. I think we're good. Yep. All right, yep. This one is a little bit of a shiny there and in this corner. All right, let's vacuum it again and we're ready to glue, I think. All right, I'm going to pull the tape and check the fit, and then we should be ready to glue. Oh, the other thing with the doing the sanding block like that is if there's any loose pieces or little fibers that are sticking up, and there's one right there, it'll work those loose. You don't want those breaking loose while you're putting the glue on and getting in the way, and then you've got something that the bridge is sitting on and it'll rock. Even if it's small, you really want to avoid as many and eliminate all the gaps, air gaps, or where the glue has to fill a gap, because the glue really, if it has to fill a gap, it won't, and that's a weak glue joint. So at this point, there is a little loose spot right there. I'm just going to sand over it carefully, bust it loose. All right, it's good. We're good. Every now and then when you're sanding too close to the edges, you'll get little pieces of blue tape in there. You want to get all those out of there. Now, I'm going to take my nice clean bridge. I'm going to test the fit all around the edges. You can't see any gaps. It looks perfect. Now we're going to get ready to glue it. So I have to get all my tools ready. I've got the bridge clamp, or the bridge clamping, I forget what you call this. Okay. Going to get 2 clamps out and ready to go. All right, I'm going to stop the video and then we'll come back. Hi, Grandin here, Luthier extraordinaire. How's that for ego? Just something I wanted to show you. I'm working on a video of doing a complete bridge reset. But this is an older vintage. I haven't dated it exactly. I think it's from the 70s. Gibson J30 acoustic. Came in for some work. It's in really good shape. One of the things it came in for was, of course, just to set up to get it playing again. But the bridge was lifting off. So I did a bridge reset. I'm going to move the camera around and come back. Just going to be a little jiggly for a little bit because I want to make a nice, quick, short video. So there's the bridge all reset and glued back on. You can't tell it happened. I do have to just clean out the glue squeeze out. But the other thing I wanted to show you, is this tuning machine, the low E tuner it won't work, it's seized. And if you try to loosen the string, of course, the keystone just comes off. And I'm gonna flip the guitar over. Again, sorry for all the, as you can see, these are the original nickel-plated tuners. It's a Gibson. They've got the thing on the side. So I didn't want to put on a whole new set of tuners. I wanted to maintain the original. So what do? You search around online, and thanks to reverb.com, I have an original Gibson tuner that'll go right back in that spot and maintain the original integrity of the instrument. Let me get this one finished up, get it set up, talk to you later. All right, folks, here's the final follow-up to the bridge reset on this vintage Gibson J30. As you can see, the bridge is all in, the guitar's been set up. I've got another short little video I'll post of the tuning machine I had to find and replace. Looks like it never happened. The couple things I did have to do with this guitar as well, after you're done, when you take the clamps off, of course, as we talked about in the first part of this video, is if you do it right, there's no glue cleanup that you have to do at all, and I didn't have to do any. All right. The other thing I did have to do then when you take the clamps off is several of the holes might have some glue residue in them, and they're gonna have glue residue. And I just use one of these tapered, I can't think of the name of it right now, cutting edge to just not hog out, but restore the holes for the bridge pins back to the proper taper and the right depth. And I go pretty careful, and I try the pins as I'm going to make sure that they go all the way down in and they're snug but not tight, because you don't want to have wedge forces, you know, pushing on the bridge that could cause it to crack. Then you're ready to put the strings on. So the other thing I had to do with this guitar when I was done to set it up was the bridge saddle on this guitar, and I always check, it was a much higher radius. It was like a 10-inch radius rather than the 12 to match the Gibson fingerboard. So what I had to do was reshape that to a 12-inch radius. Otherwise, with the shorter radius, the outer strings are closer to the fingerboard than the middle strings, so no matter how you shave the saddle to set it up, it seems like the middle strings, the D and the G, are always a bit too stiff. A little too high. So I corrected that. I did file the edges of the bridge saddle to compensate for intonation. The other thing I had to do is, because there wasn't a lot of saddle left, and yet at some point this guitar is going to need a neck reset, is I have a special little mini saw. I did cut slots from the bridge pinholes and then round them over, so the strings would be a little, rather than a breakover angle here, that keeps the breakover angle on the saddle better. So this thing's all done set up. I'm just going to go ahead and pull the camera back so you can see the beauty of this old Gibson. It's all set up and ready to go. Oh, here we go. We'll just do this. So the guitar is all set up. The bridge is reset. Again, like it never happened is my favorite saying for these kind of repairs. Guitar looks good. Fingerboards, all frets are all leveled. Fingerboard's been oiled. Am I getting that fingerboard in there? There we go. Fingerboards, frets are leveled. Fingerboard is oiled. It's got a new low E string tuner that says Gibson on it to match the rest. Found a couple people selling them on Reverb, but I wanted to get one that came as close to looking like the originals. So there you have it. All done setting it up. Going to give the customer a call. Come pick up your guitar. See you next time.